This is Roger King. I'm just going to ask a few questions, if that's all right, about your interesting lifestyle involving raw foods. And I wondered what attracted you to the raw food lifestyle diet.
Well, historically, I was brought up in Berkshire, on the edge of Oxfordshire and Berkshire in the Chiltern Hills. I was born in 1948, seems a long time ago, but I was lucky that we had about 2 acres of land around us in the middle of all these fields. And in that land, we had an orchard. We had apples, we had pears, we had cherries, we had plums. And it was just gorgeous to go down the little track and just pick an apple or pick a plum or pick whatever was ripe at that time. And it was something so natural. My tongue just loved the taste of a good, raw organic. I suppose they were organic apples. We never did much to them. They just grew. We did prune them, I think, at times. But that's where my love of fruit really began.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what do you feel have been your biggest influences?
I think it's gradually as I grew older, because it was about 7.5 years ago that I attended a UK fruit fest down in Kent. And my friend at the time took me along. I think I was a bit reluctant because I'd been to many festivals, and I was thinking, oh, do I want to give up meat? Do I want to give up dairy? Do I want to give up all my little, all my little sort of, how can you call it? They were addictions, I suppose, really, yeah. And addictions are often attached to sociability. It's rather like when I gave up cigarettes when I was 25. When I went to a dinner party, I didn't know what to do with my fingers after the meal, and everybody offered you cigarettes. Luckily, I was strong enough in my mind to say no.
Thank you. What changes have you noticed since becoming more raw vegan?
I would say that one, in my vitality, in terms of my health, I just feel like with thoughts, I'm a man that loves to choose good thoughts, and they take neuropeptides down to every cell and organ of my body and vibrate me. But eating a wonderful juicy raspberry, or I just ate a beautiful melon, and it just wakes me up inside to feel that vibration that is you can only get really from beautiful, sweet, ripe, raw, organic, fresh fruit. It's wonderful. Preferably organic if you can. If you can't, it's amazing how Tesco's and various supermarkets do have wonderful fruit. You need to learn how to select them by sight, touch, and little things. And this book here teaches you so much. This little book here by Anne Osborne, who's been a raw fruitarian for over 30 years, and Doug the same. This book too, 80-10-10, which is, these two are beautiful Bibles of the raw fruit way of being.
Thank you. And how do you manage socially with the diet?
Sometimes I slip, but I always come back to being a raw fruit person, because I live with somebody who is always being a bit of a third force. And what I mean by a third force is I used to be taught by a Buddhist person who always used to say, Roger, when you want to slip, I'm your third force. You can push against me and I won't resist your temptations. And I think that, I need more and more as I grow older. I'm nearly 73 now. I need to be on the path more and more to raw fruit, mainly, with beautiful salads and vegetables. And with the vegetables, there are times when I need to steam them because my gut, maybe over years, has not been the best gut in the world, needs to just very lightly steam them.
And what advice would you give to new people considering embarking on a raw food diet lifestyle?
Go to the UK Fruit Festival. Go and be surrounded for 8 days by people who are doing it, by people who are like Doug and Anne, who've overcome illnesses, cancers, and diabetes, and various illnesses which our processed food lifestyle produces in us. Because if we're eating rubbish, that will affect every cell and organ of our body, including our thinking, including what comes out of our mouth. The other wonderful thing is to just get on YouTube and get into watching people like Lisa from, is it
Raw Food Romance?
Raw Food Romance, who's always full of tips on how to cook, in inverted commas, raw food.
Okay. Now, what advice would you give for people who are having cravings away from the raw food diet?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I suppose really to remember how you feel when you've ate a beautiful fruit like grapes. Put grapes in your car if you're driving or you're going somewhere, or put some tangerines, or put bananas. Take things with you and eat lots. One of the things that I heard from Ted Carr, who's a great raw food person, is always eat a lot when you really feel it, because you need to eat very slippery food like melons, beautiful, first thing in the morning. My partner often brings me a melon in the morning and it goes down beautifully. And it's the perfect intake, assimilation and elimination too. It's a wonderful feeling to have that melon inside you, and then eat other raw fruits that follow. But melon, for me, is one of my best beginners of the day. And
is there any other things not covered you'd like to mention as a final?
I think one of the things is that for me, I've been very concerned with ideas, with philosophy, being a counsellor for over 50 years of listening to people. And I've often thought, as I listen to them, if they could begin to have a health-filled, vital diet from fruit, from beautiful vegetables and salads, how their tummy with men and sometimes women is often out here filled with poorly digested foods. And I think that the combination of authentic positive thinking and more raw food lifestyle, the two come together and create an alignment in mind, in heart, in physical and spiritual. And when you're aligned and your whole chakras are aligned, it feels like you find the whispers, you hear the whispers from the unseen world. Some people call God, Goddess, universal mind. I don't know, depending on your beliefs. But I do believe that the food that we eat daily and the drinks that we imbibe daily, the clearer we create a beautiful body, and we so often can overcome overeating. Obesity is about one of the biggest diseases in the world, especially in the Western world. From the McDonald's and all the beef burgers, the whole fast food industry has delivered very poor health. And also, I believe, very poor thinking in most people. That sounds paternalistic, and I know better than you. What I mean by that is, if you eat a beef burger in a fast food joint, it's amazing how sleepy I felt when I did it. And I think that our whole beautiful body, this is a beautiful miracle of life, is being partly toxic and poisoned by that food. And that high fat is just, it's just clogging up the heart. It literally is. And it's clogging up our brain, and it's creating diseases that if you go into your local A&E or hospital beds and you just walked along and you see people with strokes, with heart attacks, with cancer, it may wake you up to the feeling, could I fill my body with much more nutritious foods? Instead of diet regimes, which there are many, from Atkins to whatever, you just pick beautiful fruit. You know, with fruit, you can smell, you can see the vibrancy in the fruit. In a steak, if you go and take a bite out of a cow, what's it like? Does that make your mouth saliva with happiness? But if you think of a beautiful ripe grape and you pick it and you put it in your mouth, it's a beautiful feeling.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's right.